Hi everyone, I welcome you all for this one-day workshop on what is API and how to deploy it. First, I would like to thank our management principal for providing us this opportunity. Let me introduce a few words about Mr. T. Vimal Prakash, today's resource person. Vimal, after completing his BSc and MCA from our college, he started his career as module leader in 1277 Software Private Limited, Bangalore. Presently, he is working as a technical architect in Vidas Concept, Bangalore. He is having a rich set of professional skills and presently he is developing so many web applications as well as mobile application. Our own college website www.anjakonline.org has been developed by Mr. T. Vimal Prakash. We are very proud of him. On behalf of our department, college, I welcome all the participants for this one-day workshop. Definitely this will help you in all your future career. Thank you.
Hi everyone, this is Vimal. Today we are going to see what is API and how to deploy, and also some more strategies and deployment architectures. Hope you like it. Yep, get started. API stands for Application Programming Interface. What that do is it acts as a interface or communicator between two different systems, and in this case each system don't need to know each other, which means like how that is implemented and what is doing inside. It don't care about that. Okay, let's take one simple example. Assume you are in a Windows system and you are creating one new folder. Okay, and as a user, what you do is you right click and just navigate to the create new folder menu item, and you click OK. Then you are entering the folder name and folder is created. Okay, now um, as a user, I don't know how the folder is getting created and where it is getting stored. It's all taken care by the Windows system, or like it applies for any other systems as well. So API is present in all our applications what we are using right now. So it may be in your desktop or your mobile applications or like websites, wherever. In a simple words, API is a messenger that takes request and tells the system what you want to do and then returns the result back to you. Let's take another familiar example. Think API as a waiter in the restaurant, and imagine you are sitting at the table with a menu of choices to order from. And the kitchen is the part of the system which will prepare your order. Now, what is missing is the critical link to communicate your order to the kitchen and deliver your food back to your table. That's where the waiter or the API comes into play. The waiter is the messenger that takes your request or order and tells the system, in this case the kitchen, what to do, and then delivers the response back to you, in this case food. Okay, now let us see one real API which is developed by another third-party system called WeatherStack, and it tells about the current weather in the city. This is my URL, and now I'm just visiting the browser and opening it. Boom. So here is the response. So you can see here that my current location and what is the weather data. Honestly, I don't know what is the data is, but the point is we got the response. So imagine if you want to build this particular system by our own. Imagine like how much we need to invest. Like we need to put weather stations in all over the world, and we need to see what is going on there, and we need to monitor, and we need to get the system done. So now it's very simple. So somebody will take care of this task for us. We just need to go and create a account, just pay them the minimal rental or like minimum commission, and then API is yours. And now I can integrate this API in my application and I can use it. Hope you understand the basic concept of the API. Now let's go and develop some API. Now you may get the following questions. What language we are going to use to develop the API, and what framework we are going to use to run the API? The answer is it's actually infinity. We can use any backend languages such as Java, C Sharp, JavaScript, Python, whatever, to develop the API. Similarly, we can use any web framework such as Spring Boot or Spring, ASP.NET, Node.js, Python libraries to run the API. And same goes for the editor what we are going to use. For this demo, we are going to use the following programming stack: JavaScript, TypeScript, and Node.js framework, and editor is Visual Studio Code. For Node.js, we have a lot of open source web frameworks are available, such as like Express, Nest.js, and so on, which will make our life very easier. And if you are going without this, we need to do a lot of initial step, which I want to avoid it. So we'll take, for this example, we'll take Nest.js framework. I'll show you the advantage of that. Yes, now time to do the hands-on. So as we said, we are going to use Node.js for our development. So visit nodejs.org, and there you will find a link to download the latest version of the Node.js. So currently I'm using Mac, so it's showing my Mac version. If you are using Windows, it will show the Windows related binaries. So click download, and yeah, in my case I just downloaded and I already installed. So which means once you click this, it'll show you download option and to the regular next option and finish the installation. So in this case I'm cancelling the installation because I already installed it. Okay, to verify whether all works fine or not, just open your terminal and type node-v. Make sure that version matches your with your current binary what you downloaded, and also it will install some other packages that's called npm, which is like a node package manager. So this is like a, it's like a one layer above the Node.js, which will control the Node.js libraries, so which you'll see it in a minute. So that also make sure we have a latest. Yeah, right. So now we have a Node.js framework installed in our system. Next, what we need to do is we need to install the Nest.js framework. So nestjs.com is the official website. There, if you click the documentation, you'll reach this link, and here you'll find the how to start steps. So I'm going to take this link, sorry, this comment, and I'm going to run it in the terminal. Yep, it's installed, and now follow the next step. So we just need to do this to create a new project. So make sure you are in a right directory, and in this case I'll make own directory. I'll go into the directory, I'll paste this, and I'll change this to maybe API demo. Yeah, now again you need to wait for the options. Yeah, don't worry about this questions here, you'll come to know that later. Wait for a couple of minutes. Yeah, it's created the project. If you see this, yeah, we have a API demo folder, and if you see, there are a lot of files in it. And I'm using Visual Studio Code, so just now type code dot to open the file. Okay, it opens in the Visual Studio Code. Make sure my font is visible to you. Hope this will be okay. Right, so now if you see, there are a lot of default files in it. We don't need to focus that right now. We'll see one by one when it requires. Okay, right. Next, go to the documentation site and just see how to run this. Right, so running the application, so you need to type this to run the application. So you have to navigate to the current directory where this project is created, and you have to run this project. The Visual Studio Code offers nice option to open the terminal in the editor itself. So I open that. So I'm in the project directory, and I'm just pasting this command, and I hit enter. Now if you notice, there is new directory created in our root of the project. So the reason for that is we are actually using TypeScript. The TypeScript is a wrapper for the JavaScript. It will give you the lot of options, like JavaScript by default is like, it's not a type safe language, but TypeScript will offer you that facility. TypeScript is developed by Microsoft, and it's currently open source. So what TypeScript will do is, whenever you are running your project, it needs to be converted to the JavaScript, and it needs to run from that directory. So once you start the project with npm run start, it going to see this file. So in this file there is a command called start, and what that actually triggers is nest start. So that's why you're seeing this here. What that do is, it converts all the TypeScript file and generates equivalent JavaScript file over here, and it runs from this directory, not from the actual code. Okay, right. These instructions are given in this TypeScript configuration files, so you need to visit a TypeScript site and get started from there. Right, so now it started the application. Let's go to the documentation site and what it says. Okay, this command starts the app with HTTP server port blah blah blah, listening in this one. So let me go to this URL. Yeah, so we successfully created our first hello world project, and we executed that in the browser. So how it works now, if you see this main.ts file, what it says is, whenever starting the project, start my web server and listen it in port 3000. Okay, you can change it to whatever the port, just to make sure that port is available in your system. Okay, now we'll see what are these files are. So main file is like your startup point, and this where all your initial script is going to hit. And then if you see this, it drill down to another file called app module, and it is parallelly drill down to app controller and app service. Okay, so what these files are doing here, so we're just saying, whenever the main file starts, take this module and create object for us. Okay, right. So this concept is very similar to Angular framework. If you're familiar with that, you may notice that it's like folder structure, everything is very similar. In fact, this Nest.js is heavily inspired by Angular framework. Okay, right? So because of this settings in the app controller, we can access the service without creating instance for that. This is called dependency injection. And here is our service. So I can go here and check what it says. Okay, it just says hello world. So that's the result. We are seeing it in the browser, right? So by default, if you see in the controller, there is no path in it. So which means directly you can access it. Suppose if you want to access it with some other path name, let's say like a slash say hello, and what you need to do, you just need to change it here. Say hello. Oh, sorry. Say hello and save it. Right. And now just going here. Hello. Oops. It failed because we didn't restart the service. So remember, like we did in start to start the project. In this case, we edited the file. In this case, we need to recompile the project and we need to run it again. Right. So now if you go here and hit enter, it works back again. Right. This is kind of tedious, right? So what Nest.js is giving is there is another option to run it, which is called start:dev. This will be like a your development mode, and just need to type this way. What this will do, it adds hyphen watch option, which means whenever the file got changed, please recompile. Right, so now I'm just changing this to say hello to just hello, and if you notice here, it automatically uh, recompiles for us. So now the say hello not available anymore, and what is available is this hello. Yeah, right. So we successfully run the first hello world application. Okay, so what is next? We'll see how to create some real use case API. So for that, I'm going to pause this video for a minute and I'll create some API and I'll come back. Okay, so now I added some use case API, which is like I just created one sample student API. With that, you can do like add student, update student, and get list of the students. Okay, right. So now we'll try to access this. I'm starting the API. Now go to the browser and type students. It failed because if you see here what we said to the controller, this is going to run on students and it's supposed to hit this because there is no extra path, so it ends here, so then fall back to this. But we are getting this error. What it says, cannot get students, right? So it says it trying to access with the get, but the get method is not available. The get method is available only if somebody passes student slash some id or like util slash list. Okay, right. By default in your browser, if you hit anything in this URL, it's going to be a get request. So that's why we are seeing this get. Right, now how to access this? There are many client-side HTTP client tools are available. You can use your terminal curl or like wget. So in this case, I'm going to use the popular tool called Postman, so that you can download for a free, and it is a tool. So here I have already one collection which I created earlier for the forecast, and I'm going to add another folder called student, and then inside create request, it's like add student. So by default it gives get request. You can change it over here to post. Now copy our URL and paste it here. So if you see our API detail, it expects this interface. This interface is nothing but it just collect name, roll number, and department, and the ID is it's going to be auto generated. So this I just picked randomly, so you can it can be anything. So I'm going to pass those values. For that, you just need to click body and click raw and click JSON. Okay, by default, Nest.js will create JSON APIs for you. Okay, so I'm going to pass the data. Right, so I'm going to save this and I'm going to click send. It says true. So what is happening inside? It just take the data and it checks for is there any existing data in it. If not, it creates this one and it sends. If you notice, I just created an in-memory database. For now, we'll see in a next section with how to connect with the database. For now, we'll live with this. Right, so it says this and finally it returns true. Okay, so then it's success. Now, next call is to update this, or like we can verify whether it is saved correctly or not by using this get list call. For that, I'm just duplicating this and renaming get all the students, changing this to get, and I'm just going list. Let us say tills slash list. So in this case, make a body to none and save, hit send. Right, so it gives me an array of object which contains whatever the data I passed and some auto generated value. Okay, right, this auto generation is very simple. It's like I just created a new millisecond and I converted to string and I assigned as an ID just to make sure we have a unique one. So in production you'll have a different UID generator to generate this. For now this is okay. Right, so if you want to get one particular student, so just need to make a copy, rename get student by ID. If you remember our path details, students, then get call and it expects colon ID, which means this ID. So whatever I'm giving in this pattern matching will replace this, and Nest.js will automatically assign this ID value here and you can use it directly inside here. Okay, right, so here the same data and we got the single student one. If you see here, it is an array of students and here it is like single entity. Right, so now I need to update this. So this is expecting put method, so I need to change this to put. Again, I need to give a ID, and what I'm going to change this time is I'm going to change the name to Prakash. So I'm just hit enter. It says again true, just to verify this so that it is saved or not. Yep, it's saved. So similarly for this, saved. Okay, now we'll see how to debug this application, which means putting actual breakpoint, and we'll see how the program control flows. Let's go to the Postman and I'm going to send some invalid entry, which means non-existing ID. I'm just going to pass some random ID, which is actually not exist in our database. It says true, something wrong, right? Which means the ID is not present. It's supposed to throw exception, or it's supposed to give false here. Let's see what's happening inside. So let's put a breakpoint and hit send. No, our breakpoint didn't hit. Again, no, because we ran this in command prompt like this. With this way, we are just running uh, running using terminal without knowing Visual Studio Code. So if you want to do a real debugging thing, you need to tell the Visual Studio to take over and run it. Then only it can provide the debugging controls to you. For that, we need to add some configuration, uh, which is like .vs code. This is a way to set up VS Code settings. Okay, there is launch.json, and there is like a lot to write. So I have a ready-made URL. I'll copy from here. For now, I'll put this JSON in the description. Right. So what we are saying is we're just saying instead of command prompt to take run this one, we're just saying Visual Studio to run this one. Okay. Right. So now instead of running from here, I'm going to use this play button over here. Just click here. And runs. So now if I come and hit service, yeah, we got the control in. So now we can see the data actual what is coming in. Okay, this is ID is coming, this is ID coming. So far this is okay. Now I need to go into the service. Like how to navigate is like command click, or like in a Windows it's control click. I just went inside and putting inside this one. Seeing, okay, this is there. Okay, it just checks if this is there or not. In this case is undefined, which means it's not there, so it is not updating, but it by default it returns true. So let's change that to else. If it is only present and return true, otherwise return to false. So make a similar change over here for the insert as well. Right, now restart again. So just disable this breakpoint for now and just hit enter. Right, it says false now. Okay, this is the way we'll debug this application here. Now we will see how to connect this with a real database. For this demo, we are going to use MongoDB for our storage, and MongoDB is a document storage, document database, and you can download from here, mongodb.com, and you can go to software and community server, and you will end up in this page, and select your operating system and download the binary for this. And once you install this MongoDB, in my case I already installed, you need another tool to connect this MongoDB, which means MongoDB will act as a service, and another tool we need to connect to that service. So I'm using NoSQL Booster. This is also a free version. You can use this one. Okay, let's see how to connect MongoDB. So in the documentation page, you are at here. Just click Techniques, Mongo, and it says how to connect to our database. I recommend you to go through this link and study what is inside this. For now, I'll pause this and I'll make this changes and I'll come back. Okay, so now I made the changes. So I just followed this document. I install this both library like this and this, and this will be getting ordered in our dependency file. Mongoose and types it's ordered. Right. Next, it asks us to put Mongoose module in the app module file, right? Okay, first of all, this Mongoose is ORM tool for a MongoDB. See, if you are using ASP.NET, you are familiar with the entity framework. If you are using Java, you are familiar with Hibernate and other stuffs. Right, it's similar to that. It's just a ORM tool for the MongoDB. Okay, right. So in this case, we need to add this connection string detail in the app module. So let me go to app module and I added this one. So this is a connection string for my local database. Okay. And next up is we need to create the models schema for the database. If you see here, there is a student schema here, which means the same entity. We need to create one for the schema. Okay, it's like in a traditional world we are creating table first and then we are coming to code, right? It's like that. In this case, we are doing that via code. Okay. Next, we converted our normal interface to extend the Mongoose document interface. Okay, in this way it will be compatible with the regular object so that we can use as it is, right? Next, we need to add this schema definition. So these all explain this document, so I recommend you to go through this. So it is sorted again. So what I did is here, so whatever the name I'm putting over here, it will create the collection in this name. So traditional database will say table, here it is collection. Okay, right. We are just saying, okay, for this collection use the schema, and the schema is for nothing but like whatever we have it in the student interface, right? Now we added this, and next we can directly use it. The usage wise it's very similar. If you notice the previous example, I just changed, I removed the in-memory database and I injected this MongoDB version of database, and I changed the query like this. Instead of JavaScript find, now it's going to be a database query. It's, look at this, like it's very minimal change, and we now integrated with database. Okay, let's run. Starting this. Right, now go to Postman and hit the same call again. Right, it says true. Let me go and check the database. Refresh. Demo is created and one record is created. Right, see here, this is the data what we passed, and this is the one auto generated ID from the MongoDB. If you want to use this as a unique, you can use this as well. Same way, I'm taking the ID and updating this. This is true. I'm coming here, checking it, it's updated here. And same way, I'm taking list of students. Yes, it's came. If you see, this ID is whatever we stored over here, and this is a single student to get. Right, so now we successfully integrated our API with database. Okay, if you see this collection name, it creates like this students, right? But I given here as student. Okay, what Mongoose will do is it will take this and it will try to pluralize this, and it will create the collections. So if you want to keep it, you can keep this way. Otherwise, what you can do, you can specify the collection name again explicitly to say Mongoose. Don't create your own pluralized name. Just keep whatever I given like this. So in our case, I'm just leaving the default, which means let it be a pluralized one. Next, what we are going to see is how to secure this API. There are many ways to secure the APIs, which means before accessing the real API, we just need to check this particular incoming request have a valid permission to access the particular API. So in our current example, our APIs are open, which means anybody can access this URL. There is no security implementation over here. If you see this Nest.js framework, this is one of the main reason I chose this Nest.js framework, because it's all kind of inbuilt and we just need to do like a simple change to secure this API. So there is a concept called gods, which means like it will protect as a god, like it showed in the diagram, right? So what it does is wherever you enable this gods, it will validate all your incoming request and it will check, or you need to write a code to check whether the incoming request is valid or not. If it is invalid, it will throw exception. If it is valid, it will allow you to go in, right? So I'll set up this one and I'll come back. I set up the gods. The command is very simple. Nest g is like a generate, and god is a, I'm going to generate god, and path of the file. In this case, it's going to be god/auth. So god/auth god. Okay. By default, it will create file like this. So what I added is I just added this. Added, okay, I'm taking the incoming request and I'm checking its headers, whether it contains API key or not. If it is not, and I'm immediately throwing, okay, this guy is like unauthorized. If it is there, the API key is there, and if it is not the value what I'm expecting, then I'm throwing exception. In this case, in real case, we'll connect with the database and we'll get the key and we'll compare this. Okay, right. Now let's go to the controller and actually use this card. So assume I want to secure this API, right? Now use gods. The god name what I generated is this auth god. Okay, I copied this and I put over here. Right, now running this again. Yep. Now go to this API and hit, it says unauthorized because it expecting this value. Let's put a breakpoint here and we'll verify what is going on. It's hits here, yes, and if you check this headers, it contains the default headers what the Postman client is sending, but it not passing the header what we needed. So let's take this, go to Postman, add this header. The API key what is expecting is my secure key, and clicking enter. In this case, if you see this header, it contains API key is my secret key. So in this case, it didn't go to this line, it went to true. So which means I have access now. In this case, I'm trying to create the same use. So let me change this to this. So it came again, and yeah, it's created. So let me go and verify it here. Another name, it's before I created 37, now it's 38. Right. So enabling is very easy. We just need to copy this, put it, That's it. Now all our APIs are secured with simple API key check. Right. So what are the other options to secure this API? Right. So there is a lot of authorization protocols for this. The latest is OpenID Connect, and it is like very hard to implement if you are doing your own. So there is a lot of specification for that. If you see this, there are a lot of document we need to go through, and we need to develop this as it is. Then only it will become a uh, OpenID Connect protocol compatible. Right. So we don't need to do this all those things our own. There are a lot of third-party providers, open source and commercial versions are available. So the one what we created in our company is called SIDAS. So this is, it's a product. It just provides this OpenID Connect mechanism. So you can go and sign up and create free account, and you can use it. And there are a lot of other players as well, like Auth0, many other providers. So you have to check, you have to watch out the pricing, and you have to use these services. What these guys will give us, they will give you more secure by following this OpenID Connect protocol. So instead of just checking this uh, just a API secure key, what they will provide is, there is a format called JWT token. It's like a Java web token that provides you more secure domain access. So with these options you can secure the API well. Due to time constraint, I'm not able to demonstrate this integration here, but there is a good documentation available here. Once you create free account, you can go and uh, set up your account and do the integration you want. Okay, now we'll see how to deploy this API. For the deployment, we will use the product called Docker. Hope you guys are familiar with that, or you heard the name of the Docker. So what that is doing is, okay, what Docker gives you the flexibility is, if you compare our traditional virtual machine deployments, which means one machine, we'll split it into many operating system, right, with the help of the hypervisor, and we'll install operating system on each VM, which may be like a Windows, Linux, or like Ubuntu, whatever the voice, and then we'll install the app on it. In this case, if you see this, there are two overheads. One is like a hypervisor and the operating system. So because of this, like we are not utilizing the full hardware power. It will, for example, this OS installation takes 2 GB, for example. So 2 GB, 2 GB, 2 GB, 6 GB gone just for the operating system, right? So Docker solved this issue by providing the same isolation what we get it in the virtual machine, but in more like a more modernized way, just to use the host operating system, which means like one operating system which is running in the host. We don't need to install separate operating system for this. So instead of that, we'll install Docker. uh, that will take care of providing this isolation, which means one machine can be like a Ubuntu, one machine can be like a Windows, one machine can be like other operating system. So in this case, in here we'll say machines operating system, but in the Docker world, we'll say that as a container. And container will contain like a operating system like features. So note this word like. So if you want, you can add full features of operating system, but suppose I just want to run my API, I don't need full operating system power on it or the softwares on it. I just need to run like a web server. So it's related to that web application components only we need. So we can install only that and we can start that container. So it'll be like a super flexible, and it's more secure also. Right. So in order to host our application, we need a missions, right? So how to get that mission? So there are a lot of providers which they're offering the missions for you, and in this example we'll use DigitalOcean, which is cost you around like 1 GB machine. It will cost you around $5 per month. Okay, so you can like spin more powered machine based on your use case, and you can do scale up and scale down at any time. Right. So I have a account. I just need to log in inside. Now I'm creating new mission. So in the DigitalOcean they're calling it as droplet, which is nothing but a mission. Okay, and I can select what operating system I need. Okay, and I can select which type of machine I want. In this case I'll take the minimal one, and I can choose which data center I want. In this case I want Bangalore, so it will be near to us. And use this. Copy this and I'll save securely. Yeah, now it's available. So by default these machines are like a stateless, which means whenever this machine goes down all your data will be gone. Okay, so if you want to enable backup you can enable it here. So in this case it's not needed, so I'm just creating this droplet. So it will take 1 or 2 minutes maximum. Yeah, so our server's up and running. So how to log into that? So it's created, and just need to copy this, go to terminal. I'll open a new terminal. I just do SSH root at the IP address what I copied from here, IPv4. Click enter, say yes. It asking for the password, so take this password, put it over here, and I'm logged in. So now I have a mission with me. So it's plain mission. I have Ubuntu mission right now. So next we need to install Docker in it. So just Google it, install Docker in Ubuntu. Go to the official link and just follow this command. So copy, go here, paste it, and this actually pulling it from the Docker hub, which means it's a centralized repository for the Docker. And if you search for this image, whatever we pull now, this is this image. Okay, right. So now our Docker setup is ready. So what is next? So now we need to create Docker image on it, right? For that we need to create Docker file. Right, so we need to create this Docker file to build our own image, and I recommend you to go through this Docker documentation to understand what it is. So basically what we are saying is like I need one base image which is based on Node.js, and I need to install TypeScript in it, and I'll do my build and I'll expose my port number and I'm running my project. That's it. Okay. Now I need to build this project. Docker build -t. So this is my private registry. Since I'm hosting my database things, I have to host it privately. You can host publicly to check the demo version, but don't put any production connection strings over there. So once you build, you need to push this to the central repository. So in this case, I already pushed it because it takes more time. So let's go to Docker Hub and go to the private registry what we push now. So now we have one tag which is latest, which what we push now, and we can use this image wherever we want. And now let's go to the doc. Now let's go to the DigitalOcean machine what we created now and try to use this image. Now log in into Docker using the credentials what you used there. Right, now it's logged in. Now if we try to pull, yeah, it worked. We can run this image by docker run -d, which means detach mode -p. It's we need put 80 in the machine, and inside the error it is 3000. Demo. So now we started the container. So to check Next, we'll discuss about how to scale this environment. So far what we've seen is good, but not production ready. So we deployed it in Docker, but again it's a single instance. So we need to use Docker Swarm. It's another layer around the Docker, which will give you the cluster management. And also another tool called Kubernetes. It's by Google, and Google uses inside this Kubernetes. And with that, you can deploy the containers dynamically, and you can scale down, scale up, scale down your containers like at any time, based on automated configurations also. For example, uh, assume like a Flipkart running big billion day, that day they know that they're going to hit like many users, and they can increase the size dynamically, or based on the system load. Assume like if the machine reaches 80% of the CPU and memory, it can spin another container in another machine, and it can internally give the load balancing for you. So whatever we discussed here, for example, Nest.js, Node.js, and MongoDB, Docker, Kubernetes, Docker Swarm, it's all like a concept-wise big. It's all needs its own presentations. What I provided here is just a hint how it is getting used in the outside world. So takeaway from this course is, you know some tools now. You can Google it, or you can study from the library, or like some other books. uh, get get into deep in that concept, and use it for your own use cases. Thank you so much for listening my lecture.